In 2017, kindness and civility are beginning to seem like a lost art, but many people across the Commonwealth are still going the extra mile to help those in need. A man dubbed Mr. Kentucky for his heroics during Hurricane Harvey.
And I tried to sleep and I had a burden on my heart, and I feel like God still might need to come help.
A restaurant owner whose mission is to give people with addiction a second chance at life.
One sandwich at a time, people can have a little bit more self-respect, a little bit more commitment to living a life a different way.
A woman who won't let a cancer diagnosis stop her passion for feeding hungry kids in her neighborhood.
They motivate. If I'm not down here to do this for my community, my baby, I just don't want to go on.
And an organization devoted to getting homes for man's best friend while giving purpose to those behind bars.
I'd like to think that they learn unconditional love that many of them may not have ever felt before.
These people and many more are making a difference in their communities and living proof of the saying, there are no strangers here, only friends you haven't yet met. Hello everyone and Merry Christmas. I'm LEX18's Nancy Cox.
And I'm Michael Burke. We'd like to welcome you to our 2017 edition of our Making a Difference Christmas Day special. All year long, wonderful opportunities for us to tell great stories about so many great people making a big difference in our community.
Guess we could call it the good news, right?
Yep.
What you're doing in your community and what people are doing all around the country to make things better.
We begin tonight by talking about the utter devastation which took place in South Texas, talking of course about Hurricane Harvey back in the fall, which did an astonishing $200 billion worth of damage.
Some parts of southeast Texas got as much as 50 inches of rain, causing catastrophic flooding last August. And most of us sat at home watching on TV, seeing the devastation that we really couldn't do anything about. But one Grayson County man took action.
John McGinnis went to help, he saved lives, he went viral, and he earned the moniker Mr. Kentucky.
LEX18's Kylan Mills has our story.
An interview and a man.
It doesn't surprise me. John always helps people. He always has.
Who's captured the hearts of people across the country.
I lay down and I tried to sleep and I had a burden on my heart, and I feel like God still might need to come help.
John McGinnis from Grayson County now being hailed as a hero. This after a local TV news affiliate in Houston interviewed the professional angler live while he was out on his boat rescuing people from the floodwaters. John's wife Stephanie McGinnis says there was no stopping this man rooted in faith from uprooting his life to drive 18 hours to Texas.
Hey, we were just watching on TV and he just looked at me and he said, "Steph, God told me to go." I said, "If God told you to go, you need to go."
But she took comfort in knowing John did God's work and made a difference in the lives of those suffering. In November, he was named Kentuckian of the Year by Kentucky Monthly Magazine and spoke about his continuing efforts to raise money for hurricane victims. For this Making a Difference, Kylan Mills, LEX18 News.
Now, in the wake of the devastation of Harvey, LEX18 asked you to support all of the people who are hurting in South Texas.
And you blew us away, donating tens of thousands of dollars in our Make a Difference fundraiser held at Fayette Mall in September. Thanks to your generosity, we raised more than $133,000 during our two-day fundraiser to support Harvey relief efforts. It's obvious Kentuckians are generous, and this next story is evidence of that.
We're talking about a special place in Casey County called the Galilean Home, which offers schooling, housing, and a family to those who have none of the above.
Faith, hope, and room for one more.
The residents' pictures can tell a story of misfortune that none of them asked for.
We provide children of all ages a place to call home.
This is home for Lance, who is bedridden from cerebral palsy. Kylie couldn't be any cuter. This has been her home since the second day of her life, as mom rides out a prison sentence.
So once a week, those mothers get a visit with their baby for 2 hours.
Some will leave here eventually.
Hi. So here's the twins.
Some have been here for more than a decade. Some will die here. The Galilean Home takes them in when others can't or won't. They rely entirely on donations, and in October, hosted their biggest fundraiser of the year.
This is the 28th annual Galilean Quilt and Craft Auction.
All of these handmade products were available for purchase, and yes, donated for this event.
We have some generous supporters really all over the Bluegrass State and all over the country.
And Quincy is among those who benefited from that support, as he too came through Galilean.
Went to school here, had chores here just like everybody else.
Then found his calling here, working now to ensure there's always hope and room for one more.
We want to be able to do that, and of course we can't do that without the support.
With this quilt and crafts auction, you'll get a chance to offer that support a chance to help write the stories coming from some of these faces. Galilean home officials tell us this year's auction had a great turnout of people bidding on those gorgeous quilts, and they tell us they plan to do the fundraiser once again next year.
For families of kids with life-threatening illnesses, the happy days can be few and far between.
And every year, the folks at the Make-A-Wish Foundation and Keeneland Racecourse team up to grant 10 very special wishes to 10 very deserving young people.
Have fun now. Pick that winner.
5-year-old Jack Wells was born with something you can barely pronounce, and good luck spelling it.
He was born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome.
In layman's terms,
The left side of his heart was not formed.
the result has been 2 open heart surgeries, just narrowly avoiding a transplant.
We found a doctor in Columbus, Ohio that went in and created a surgery for him, and his heart works just like mine.
That's a relief, because when the Make-A-Wish Foundation grants Jack's Disneyland wish, that heart of his will be racing. 10 Make-A-Wish recipients were at Keeneland in October, watching and presenting trophies from the winner's circle. 18-year-old Seth was first out of the gate.
I had 16 inches of my colon removed because it was necrotic, and then procedure after procedure.
125 procedures in all. His wish for a gaming computer seemed like a fair trade. And Seth decided to meet the jockey who would be riding horse number 5, No Limit, symbolic for what he's overcome.
I've got to stay happy, got to stay optimistic about what I can and can't do.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation is all about happiness and optimism. Just ask Seth's mom.
And I can't say enough about it. They are just the most wonderful, and we really appreciate it.
This year's was the 10th Make-A-Wish Day at Keeneland, and over the last decade, the racecourse and the Make-A-Wish Foundation have teamed up to grant more than 80 wishes to Kentucky kids. A special program being operated by the Danville-Boyle County Humane Society is giving hard-to-adopt dogs a second chance at life.
But it's not just helping the dogs. This life-changing program is making a difference for the inmates at North Point Training Center.
Here we go. You ready?
The Hendersons of Mount Sterling love soccer.
Wait.
And newly adopted Obi fits right in.
He jumped in there and he would look straight at the camera and smile and everything. It was really cool.
From serving as Royce Henderson's soccer team mascot to playing a little ball himself, Obi keeps the family entertained.
The second we met Obi, it was like we just added another family member instantly.
The Black Lab was practically ready-made for the Hendersons thanks to Mutts with Manners run through the Danville-Boyle County Humane Society.
We just wanted to have mannerly dogs going into a home where people didn't have to go through all the puppy stuff.
How about a hug? Yeah.
In order for Obi and nearly 250 dogs like him to get a second chance at life, they had to go from behind bars at the shelter to behind bars at the North Point Training Center in Bergen.
And we pick out the dogs that we deem less adoptable.
Over a 6 to 8 week period, chosen dogs spend their days with a select group of inmates, being crate trained, socialized, and taught basic commands.
Down. Good boy. Here we go. Let's try this.
Not to mention a lot of fun tricks.
Turn light on. The dogs assuming the position on the wall. That was a trick that I wanted them to be able to get all the dogs to do that because it was just cute.
The proof of success is evident in the 100% adoption rate. It is a win-win for the dogs.
So you can see from the first second that we met Obi, or that you meet any dogs from the Mutts with Manners, that they really put a lot of time and effort into training those dogs.
Let's sit.
Not to mention life-changing for the inmates involved in the program.
I'd like to think that they learn unconditional love that many of them may not have ever felt before.
You ready? Here we go.
That love has certainly changed Obi's life, now spending his days running free and bringing joy to his forever family.
I love him so much.
Go to muttswithmannersdanville.com to check out the animals up for adoption from this really cool program. The men and women in blue spend their days keeping us safe from crime, but they also step up when they encounter someone in need.
Here's a perfect example. 2 years ago, Lee Stiltner was an alcoholic living on the streets. Now he has a steady job, a home, and a family. And it's all thanks to one Lexington police officer who stepped up and made a huge difference in his life.
Lee Stiltner knows exactly what he'd say to Officer Donovan Grider if ever given the chance.
I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't ran into you. you give the badge a good name.
When they first met years ago, Stiltner was living on the same streets Grider is charged with protecting. Lee had been badly beaten by a couple of thugs, beaten by alcoholism, and beaten by life.
I think he was afraid he may be getting arrested, and I was like, I'm not trying to arrest you, I'm gonna get you some help.
It worked, as Lee has since sobered up, hasn't had a drink in 369 days. He's married now, and back in February, the couple welcomed a son. He's also operating the heavy machinery for AVR Construction. It's full-time employment.
Lee wanted better, and he saw the opportunity and took it.
He took so many steps toward recovery and reinventing himself, but the most significant steps Lee has taken might have been those final few he took towards a special reunion in August.
I really wanted to thank you, and I didn't have any idea how to get hold of you.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad to see him. I'm glad you're doing so good.
And he's glad Lee accepted the help.
Lee is the person who made the choices to change his life.
But Officer Grider helped him see that he had a choice.
Public servants have a hard job, and it's a beautiful thing when you find one that really shines. Really made a difference in my life.
And certainly Lee would know that dealing with an alcohol or drug abuse problem can make it very difficult to find a job.
Yeah, but a Lexington restaurant is challenging that notion. Tiffany Jackson joins us to explain.
Nancy, Michael, DV8 Kitchen is the brainchild of Rob Perez. The restaurant serves great food, but their real mission is to address the problem of drug addiction. It gives employees there a second chance at a positive life.
Stacked along this shelf at the new DV8 Kitchen, you'll find flour, salt, and sugar, all essential ingredients in a bakery.
We're going to serve all-day breakfast sandwiches.
But what you won't see are the ingredients that truly make this restaurant tick, and that's compassion, support, and love.
DV8 is designed, developed, and will operate as a second chance employment.
A third of the employees at DV8 Kitchen will be people in the early stages of substance abuse recovery, a time that can be especially difficult to find a job. It's a cause close to owner Rob Perez's heart, one he knows all too well.
It's really a kind of the amalgamation of my wife's life and my life. My wife helped me through rehab at 25. And showed me that someone can be supportive and loving and also hold me accountable.
But without the food, this mission wouldn't be possible.
We really have to concentrate on great food from scratch, awesome service, and in order to help people, we have to make this a really credible, excellent business.
It's their motto, creating life-changing food to help change lives.
We think that maybe, one sandwich at a time, people can have a little bit more self-respect, a little bit more commitment to living a life a different way.
In November, world-famous artist Colette Miller made a special trip to Kentucky to visit DV8 Kitchen. She's the founder of the Global Angel Wings Project, and she painted a mural of angel wings on the outside of the restaurant for free. Miller told us when she heard of the mission of the restaurant, she knew she had to get involved. Back to you.
Still ahead on Making a Difference.
They motivate. If I'm not down here to do this for my community and my baby, I just don't want to go on.
A cancer survivor says the kids she serves in her community give her the will to live.
I was one of those kids that everybody said would make past 18, past 19. They thought they'd either be dead or in jail.
Plus, a man with a troubled past turns to social media to help change the lives of kids, one school supply at a time. Welcome back to LEX 18 Making a Difference. I'm Nancy Cox along with Michael Burke. And Christmas is all about kids.
And there's one person in particular who makes it feel as if it's Christmas year-round. That person is Lexington resident Tina Adams. She's a throat cancer survivor, and for the children she helps on a daily basis throughout the year, well, they hear her loud and clear.
Hey, baby girl. I'm done with the chemo, I'm done with the radiation.
Tina Adams has been cancer-free for more than 1 year.
It was passed down from my parents' parents to me, because I lost 2 grandparents to throat cancer.
But throat cancer hasn't claimed Tina or her voice. Now it's actually stronger than ever.
Let's get sanitized.
Tina wants clean hands before she hands out lunch to those in need. 5 days per week, she comes to Green Acres Park in Lexington to help carry out this mission. Then she does it again at dinner time from her own home.
They motivate me. If I'm not down here to do this for my community and my babies, I just don't want to go on.
You could say they're all battling Tina's cancer together, and together they're all winning.
She's actually awesome.
Yeah, she really is.
She's a very spiritual person, and I love that. And you can tell that it's real how she feels about the children.
Tina is one of them kind that comes along every now and then, once in a lifetime.
Her lifetime nearly cut short 2 years ago by a cancer diagnosis. The disease took a lot away, but it didn't touch her ability to give. And for that, she thanks her sister-in-law.
She tell me God got me here for a reason. If he wanted me, he would have went on and took me.
Could you think of a better reason than this?
She really is one of a kind. Nancy, you know, she has good days and bad days, Tina tells us, and it's all due in part to her medication, but no matter how she's feeling, she always tries to make it out to the park to help the kids.
So kids can learn better once their stomachs are full, but after that, a lot of families don't have the necessities, the school supplies their kids need.
So this summer, one Lexington man turned to social media, and his campaign nearly went viral, and he ended up helping at least 100 kids to get the school supplies they needed for the new school year.
Notebook paper, glue sticks, crayons, scissors, colored pencils.
Byron Groves is overwhelmed by the generosity being shown by the Lexington community.
It's surprising me. I mean, it's turned out a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
In July, he began a social media campaign to provide school supplies to children in need. Donations of supplies and money came rolling in. Byron was initially hoping to help a few kids here and there.
If this happens in 10 days, imagine if this catches on, what we can do with it.
Sky is the limit, and no one knows that more than Byron, a father, grandfather, and believe it or not, a reformed gang member.
I was one of those kids that everybody said wouldn't make it past 18, past 19. They thought they'd either be dead or in jail.
A stunning turnaround for not only himself, but the other troubled men he spent a lot of time with over the years.
I mean, the support I'm getting from them, and I see, a lot of them just, I see a change I see a big change in everyone.
And now he's in position to change several hundred lives, one kid at a time, with one school supply at a time.
Since I've started this, I feel like I'm waking up with a purpose.
While giving purpose to so many others as well.
And through donations from community members and area businesses, Byron was able to hand out all of those supplies to 100 kids at a special event back in August, so they were all geared up, ready to go, back to school.
Doesn't feel like August right now.
No, it does not.
Well, this time of year, certainly grabbing that heavy coat is just part of our routine, but for many kids across the state, they don't have that luxury.
LEX 18's Tiffany Jackson joins us with that story.
A Lexington nonprofit organization worked overtime this fall to put brand new coats on the backs of 3,000 kids this winter.
For many weeks in the fall, Divine Karama says the back of his car stays like this, packed with coats.
I believe that a coat during the winter seasons is something that every kid should have.
For some families across central and eastern Kentucky, that's not always easy. So that's where Believing in Forever Inc. comes in.
I know at least 5 or 6 of the counties that we'll be servicing in eastern Kentucky are some of the poorest counties in America.
In the past, they've collected used coats, but say new ones have a bigger impact.
We believe it being a brand new coat and the kids tearing the tags off, we feel that can inspire and empower them in a different way.
The drive is meant to keep as many kids warm as possible this winter, but Karama says it's about so much more than warmth.
We want them to know that there's people out here that care about them and that we all come from different neighborhoods and backgrounds, but at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters. So hopefully they'll be inspired that, somebody is thinking about them in their time of need.
The director of the local Believing in Forever Inc. organization even took to the streets in the cold in November, trying to collect those coats for Kentucky kids. Divine Karama stood at the corner of Main and Limestone, performing every hour on the hour for 24 hours with no coat. Between his performances, he spent time publicizing the coat drive. And from keeping kids warm to helping them succeed in school. For refugees, especially children, it can be traumatic moving from your home to a brand new country. But the Lansdowne Elementary Summer Camp helped ease a group of refugee children into their new Lexington home in a truly bluegrass way.
Horses like to be with other horses.
For those who have lived in central Kentucky for even a small amount of time, seeing farms full of horses is no big deal. But for most of these kids, it's their first time.
These students have been in the United States less than a year.
They were part of the Lansdowne Elementary Summer Camp, which was full of refugee children.
I was from Congo, again I moved to Kenya.
This summer, in true bluegrass fashion, the kids have learned how to take care of horses.
Don't ever approach a horse behind the horse, and and don't run when you're going to pet a horse.
They put that to the test at the Kentucky Equine Humane Center as they all lined up to meet Millie, a rescue horse.
So we just tried to not only to support them academically, but to get them out into the community, because that's where they really make connections and learn.
The director of the camp says they also chose to come to the center to show the kids how important it is to care for one another, even horses.
We feel like we adopt and really take care of our families at Lansdowne, so they make those connections that we all need support for each other.
About 100 refugee students are enrolled at Lansdowne during the school year. At the summer camp, they learn English and counting and other basic skills based on their age. Nancy, Michael, back to you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Some kids can't attend school or other fun activities because they're dealing with serious illnesses such as cancer.
So one University of Kentucky instructor has asked the following question. What if every chemotherapy session a young child had to endure could be a break from reality rather than their harsh reality? And he's got a plan, and he's putting it together to make it happen.
I was always focusing on how...
A pediatric cancer patient's reality is harsh.
Yeah, it's very 80s.
Nathan Stevens is on a mission, however, to change that by using virtual reality.
We can create a game that's really simple, very short spurts of entertainment, and that will completely block out their hospital environment.
Stevens is calling it Arcadian Dream, and right now that's just what it is, a dream. He's in the process of raising money to launch this project here in Kentucky before offering it free of charge across the nation.
It's a non-profit move, and we just really want to make kids' quality of life better.
Or to at least make their chemotherapy sessions a bit more tolerable.
The games were built to be short stints, like traditional arcade games were in the 80s, where you go in and you play 15 minutes at most, and then you're out.
But while you're in, kids can escape a harsh reality, and like virtually everyone in the world, Nathan has family members who have battled cancer. It's a big reason he hatched this idea.
Make somebody's life who's going through a really tough situation just a little bit better. Get them to concentrate on something and distract them from everything going on.
It's a great idea, especially when this is a kid's reality.
And Nathan set a goal of $20,000 to make his virtual reality an actual reality for those children.
Still ahead, we've shown you some inspirational stories about people going the extra mile to make a difference for others in their community.
It was a reaction of astonishment that there were still good, wholesome, honest people left in this world.
Up next, the story of a couple in the right place at the right time, and how they were able to make a woman's day by returning her lost savings.
We love telling the stories about the good work people are doing to make a difference in their community. Help us shine a spotlight on a friend, neighbor, or even yourself. Send us an email at news@lex18.com or get in touch with us on our LEX18 Facebook page. And we continue our 2017 Christmas Day Making a Difference special with another story that a viewer sent in. So I'll pose a question to you and anyone out there. If you found $3,000 cash, do you pocket it or do you try to find its rightful owner?
Well, that happened to a Jessamine County couple back in September, but there was never any question about what they would do. Claire Crouch has that story.
Of the countless people we come into contact with in this life, you hope at least two of them are as good as Joyce and Richard Walter.
I already knew this family was good people, and this just reassured me that just how good of people they were.
Joyce popped by a parking lot sale at a local church in Nicholasville.
I stopped, I was in a hurry, and I bought a movie for $1. It was called Letters to God.
But when she got home, she realized she got a little more than she bargained for.
I opened it up and there was all these $100 bills, all smooth, not wrinkled.
It was $3,400. Joyce raced outside to show her husband, and immediately they dialed up the sheriff, never giving a thought to pocketing the cash for themselves.
Well, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Sheriff Kevin Corman says reuniting someone with cold hard cash is nearly impossible to do, but after a little bit of detective work, he was in contact with the rightful owner.
It was a reaction of astonishment that there were still good, wholesome, honest people left in this world.
She doesn't want to be identified, but is overwhelmed with thanks to the strangers who found her savings, never thinking one DVD would fortify not only her faith in God, but also in the people around her. For this Making a Difference, Claire Crouch, LEX18 News.
We've enjoyed bringing you the stories of how so many people in Kentucky are making a difference, and we hope maybe you'll be inspired to go out and do the same.
As we get ready to turn the page to 2018, perhaps the gift of your time and talent will help change the lives of many across the Commonwealth.
Merry Christmas from all of us here at LEX 18.